thanks for stopping by Pete's Garage. Several of you guys have asked for videos about welding, if I can make videos on how to weld. And I could do that. I am a certified welder. I got my welding certification a long time ago. I was trained by the Army. I wasn't in the Army, but I did get trained by the Army at the Army Ordnance and Training Center in Aberdeen, Maryland. They have a big training test facility there and a school for welding, and that's where I went to welding school 3 months. We did everything, all kinds of welding: aluminum, stainless steel, all grades of stainless steel, titanium, steels, anything from real thin sheet metals up to real high carbon, 1-inch thick armor plating, and all processes: MIG, TIG, oxyacetylene, shielded arc. So I went through all the welding processes to get a welding certification. So I could make videos and teach you guys how to weld, but there are literally got to be hundreds of thousands of videos on how to weld. Miller makes them, the manufacturers, Miller, Lincoln, ESAB, everybody who makes welding equipment has videos on how to weld. And my recommendation would be, if you want to learn how to weld, you get a welder, a cheap TIG welder. I think you can get a TIG welder, a MIG welder with the gun with the wire-fed welder. You get a MIG welder at Harbor Freight for like $540. Get yourself a small bottle of Stargon, which is a compressed argon with some CO2 in it, not that expensive. Maybe it's just $650, and you can learn how to weld. But one thing is, it takes practice over and over and over. It's all about heat control, puddle control, controlling the rod, feeding, all kinds of things. So instead of teaching you how to weld generically, I can show you some special processes. Now what I have an exhaust piece for the 350 Corvette motor, which is the heat riser butterfly that goes in the exhaust manifold. I want to take that butterfly out of there, and I want to fill in the hole on that cast part. Now, you can weld some cast irons. You can weld there's certain grades of it you can, or you can braze it. Brazing, and depending how you do it, requires a flux with a torch and a brass rod, and you're just really filling it. And that's not welding, that's a capillary action fusion, kind of like soldering. Soldering is just like brazing. When you solder or braze, you're heating up the base material. You're taking that base material, you're opening up the capillaries on that material. Then you're taking a molten metal, like either brass or, in solder's case, tin, lead, and you're filling a metal there. And as it cools down, the capillaries close, and that's what causes those metals to stick together. They're not welded together, they're not fused, they're simply stuck together through the capillary action or clamping of the open pores in the metal. So welding is permanent because you're taking something, when you weld it, you're heating up to the melting point, and both parts are molten, they fuse together, and they're permanently fused. Whereas a brazing process or a soldering process, if you heat it up enough, the brass will melt out or the solder will melt out. So instead of teaching, like I said, instead of teaching you how to weld, I can show you the different processes that are out there that are special. So if you do start welding and you do get to the point where you want to do some different kind of welding and you think, is it possible to do this? Yes, it is. Now, the one thing I've been doing a lot of lately is something called silicon bronze TIG welding. You use your TIG torch, you use that as like you would a oxyacetylene torch to heat up the base metal, where you get cherry red and you fill in the brass with a flux. But since you have a shielding gas with your TIG, you can just take a silicon bronze rod and fill right in and use that as a filler. And it works real fast, and it works awesome. I do it all the time on different kinds of metals, mostly manifolds. I've done some huge electrical contacts that were copper. I filled in some things like that, so it really depends on what you're welding. We could go through all the metallurgical classes on what metals you can weld to what other metals, what can you use as a rod to make dissimilar metals weld, but really it would take forever. So if there is some special process you'd like to learn, let me know and I'll go through that special process. But as for general welding, you can look up Teach Me How to Weld, and probably on YouTube there's, like I said, hundreds of thousands of videos on how to weld. If not, going right to the manufacturer's website and showing what they have how to weld. So let me show you what we're going to weld or what we're going to braze shut. We'll do that and I'll show you the result. One of the features on the 1976 Corvette is this heat riser that goes in the passenger side exhaust. This would go right between the exhaust manifold, which sits right up here, and your exhaust pipe gets connected down here with the gasket, or with the that donut that goes on there. Now, the problem with this thing is, or the way it works is, this baffle will close to give the exhaust gas time to heat up, and as the engine warms up, there's a linkage here, and this linkage would get connected up to the heat riser on the carburetor, and as the engine heats up, this slowly opens up. The problem is it's a mechanical device, number one, so it's not 100% reliable, and they're tough to get working. And the other thing is, when they stop working, it kills your fuel economy. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this thing out of here, and we're going to braze this shut using TIG. It's called a silicon bronze TIG process, and we're going to take this out of here. Now, the first thing you might notice is that this must not have worked because someone welded this butterfly on here in place, so this must have broke once before. And the good thing is there's only a hole on one side. You can kind of see, I hope you can see, that it's not connected on this side. There is no hole over here. So this butterfly is just kind of like floating out there in space. So I'm going to, this looks like this is pressed on here, so I'm going to pry this off of here. And since someone welded that, I'm going to probably have to cut this off to get that out of there. But let's cut that off, and then we'll braze the hole shut so we can still use this spacer without having to worry about operating the heat riser. Alright, what I was able to do here is just to grind that weld off that was in there. And I like to try and preserve this as much as possible, so in case you want to use this again and keep it with the original car, you can always reuse the butterfly. So I should be able to just slide this butterfly off of here, like that. Slide the butterfly out and slide the shaft off. There we go. So we can reuse that if we wanted to, bring it back to normal. And now it looks like there is just a sleeve in there, a bearing, which is really worn out. If I put this back in there, this is really, really loose. So my guess is exhaust gases were escaping from here, and that's what caused it to rust. So I'll push this bushing out of here, and then we can start to get ready to weld that up. Or actually, we're not welding it, we're going to be brazing it, silicone brazing it. Okay, I have this all bead blasted to clean it up, and I have that sleeve didn't come all the way out. It's pressed in there pretty good. So what I did is I drilled it down a little bit, and I put a countersink on there. The reason the countersink is there is so I have something to fill up to. You can't just fill a hole and expect it to stick. You need a little bit of a dip there, or a countersink, for the material to stick to, so when you sand it down or grind it flush, it's actually sticking to something. Now, if you weld, or anybody who welds will tell you, the most important thing, especially when you're TIG welding, is cleanliness. I bead blasted this, I cleaned it with a degreaser, and then I wiped this down with some isopropyl alcohol to make sure there's absolutely nothing on that surface. So the last thing to do is I'm just going to clamp this up, since I don't have a work holding, so I'll use my ground clamp as the work holding, and that will hold it nice and firm. Let's get it nice and straight up and down. And now, what we're going to do is, or what I'm going to do is, I have this handy dandy little welding shield that I'm going to put over the lens, and this should be dark enough so that you can see when I heat this up and get the material to flow in there. Now, for doing such a big area, I'm going to be using a number 8 gas cup on my TIG welder, but as you can see, the electrode in here is pretty worn out. I did some real heavy duty welding a little while back, so I have to dress my electrode. So let's go dress my electrode, and I'll show you the proper way to do that. Okay, first, real quick lesson about electrodes. The red end on the end here, they come in different colors, which means that the electrode itself is made up of different materials. The end on this happens to be red, which indicates that it's a thoriated rod, which is 1.7 to 2.7 thoriated. It comes in green, which is a pure tungsten electrode. There's also orange, which is a serrated, roughly 1.8 to 2.2%. You can get a lanthaniated, which is 1.3 to 1.7%. That would be a gold end on that one. And then there's brown. Brown is zirconiated. Now, I'm not going to go through all the different colors and what they're used for, but the red is pretty much good for all metals and all conditions. I do have the other colors, but I'm using the red. I'm using my 1/8 here because I need to put some big current to that piece of metal to heat it up, like you would a blowtorch. So I'm using my TIG welder like a blowtorch to heat it up and to put in the silicone bronze. We'll talk about that in a second. Now, I have this grinder mounted to the top of my Synchrowave. I got a Synchrowave 200, a Miller Synchrowave 200 TIG welder, and the thing is awesome, really incredible. You can see there's a groove dug in here because when you grind your electrode, you always want to grind in one direction. One direction. You don't want to put it on this side and try and put a tip on this way because of the grain of the tungsten that's in the electrode. So you always grind in one direction. So I'll turn this on. Turn on my grinder. Let it get up to speed. And when I do this, I want to have a nice 45-degree tip on there. And I'm going to rotate it as I grind it. There. Now, you see I have a nice clean tip. Nice clean tip ready to weld. I'm using pure argon as a shielding gas, set at about 7 psi. And I have my welder set on the electrode negative just because I want current. You can weld AC and negative or positive for the electrode. We'll go into that to another video. And I got it set at 150 amps, and that doesn't matter because I can control that with the foot switch. The foot switch here, you just put your foot on here, and then the more you put on, the more you push it, the more amperage you get. So you control all the amperage with your foot switch. Well, first things first, I don't like to weld on an empty stomach. So I went downtown Buffalo. Buffalo actually has the City of Buffalo Department of Coffee and Donuts, and they specialize in donuts for law enforcement grade, professional grade donuts. You can go see them at buffalodonuts.com. And I bought this donut. They're located on Delaware Avenue, 153 Delaware Avenue. Very professional packaging. This donut is a civilian version of the law enforcement donut. This is the XP donut, which is the civilian version of the XP, which is XP1, which is a law enforcement grade donut. But I pick one of these up, and you have one of these babies, and you can weld for hours, not have to worry about energy. I want to thank the commissioner of the Department of Coffee and Donuts of the City of Buffalo, Howard Goldman. He always takes care of me when I go down there. Awesome stuff. Never weld on an empty stomach. Now, since it might be difficult to see while I'm welding, I did a test here. I struck an arc there and put the lens across the camera just to make sure I could film this. And what I'm just going to do here is I'm going to take my torch, and this is going to be kind of the method I'm going to be using. I'm just going to be heating it up, moving it across just to heat up the area, and I'll be feeding my rod in there just to fill in the area. And welding is all about heat control. I have a foot control controlling the voltage or the current going to this, not voltage, current. And I can heat it up and cool it down, and I want to fill this in. It'll just take a while to fill this in with this rod. I'm just working around in a circle so I can fill in as I go along. That way the metal has a chance to cool as I fill in towards the center. Of course, you don't want it to overheat, because if it overheats, it just drops right in the middle. It'll droop and fall right down that tube. Okay, now it's completely filled, and I can just go around the outside to make sure that it's completely part of the outside of the hole that I put in there. Alright, let's take a look. So there it is, all filled in. It's extremely hot, so I can't touch it, so I'm going to quench this, sand that down, and we'll see what it looks like. And here's the finished part. We can see that the bronze has filled in nice and clean. I just belt sanded it down to make sure it was fused completely all the way around the hole. Now that hole is sealed, and I didn't have to use a torch. I didn't need flux. I didn't use a brass rod like regular brazing process. It's using your TIG torch and a silicon bronze rod to braze shut a hole in a piece of cast iron. Well, there you have it, guys. A silicon brazing or silicon TIG welding process used on cast metal. Now I have to be careful how I say that, because when I say silicon or silicon or silicone, everybody always seems to have the, well, not everyone. Some people have the need to correct me on what I use, the word I use, so I'm going to use it very clearly. Silica, instead of silicon, silica is a hard, colorless compound that occurs as the mineral quartz in sandstone and some other rocks, okay? So you got silica. Silicon, S-I-L-I-C-O-N, silicon, is a chemical element 14, Si, on the periodic table of elements. It's a non-metal, and it has semiconducting properties, which is why silicon is used in the production of electronic components, because it has a conductive property to it depending on how it's used. It's dark gray and crystalline and as amorphous powder, so it can occur in that state. Silicone, silicon, C-O-N, or silicone with the E on the end, is any class of a synthetic material that has that are polymers with the chemical structure based on the chains of alternate silicon and oxygen atoms. So there is a difference. I know what the difference are. So everybody who's going to correct me, this is a silicon bronze TIG welding process. There. So now we have that cleared up. If you have any special welding process you'd like to see, let me know and I'd be happy to make a video for you so we can clear it up. That way you have a good video to reference when you want to do a special welding process. So I hope that helps you. I hope you like that. And oh, if you're just stopping by, please click on the subscribe button. And if you click on the little bell next to subscribe, every time I upload a video, you will get a notification. Thanks for stopping by Pizza Garage.